Uh, Hello, welcome to the podcast. Um, Me and Josh decided today to basically do a podcast together. With video
Evolution.
game, basically to talk about the video game industry and the evolution of video games in the years since they've came out. Um, yeah, that's basically it. Josh, how are you today?
I'm good, man.
That's good.
Hope everybody is doing well today. What's up, Chris? Billy? How you guys doing? Welcome to the podcast. I'm not gonna say live stream because it ain't no stream today. Complete opposite.
Not a stream.
Not a stream, no. So I guess the
Not a.
first thing I think we should touch on is I think it's the big one. It's the pinnacle of games. The sports game industry has gone from complex, well immersed, well polished, and challenging video games to these simulation based things. I want your take on that simply because you play a lot of them. I play some of them, and our views are a little bit different.
Well, what I've seen in the video game industry basically in the past couple of years is that most of the sporting games are made by EA, by their branch EA Sports, right? And games like Madden used to be very good. Now it's just a copy and paste. What else does EA have? EA has FIFA, copy and paste.
NHL, not copy and paste, and I'll say why. So, what they did with the recent version of it was when I discovered myself, and I was playing it just the other day, there's a very big difference between the copy and paste that you see from like Madden or you'll see from FIFA or hell, even Sims. And we'll touch on that one. But NHL is a little bit different because each patch update that comes out, if there is a trade that happens or an injury or a contract expiring, they will implement that in the patch and they'll push it forward. Whereas in past games, whatever you got, you get, and that's just going to be it until the following year. And I think it depends on the development team that works on those games. I think each sports game is uniquely different in their own way, only because yes, they're made by Electronic Arts, but they're different developers for each one of those. You could see like in the credits, like the names are all different. Madden, I agree with you on I agree with you.
Madden's a train wreck. That's all that is.
I agree with you with the copy and paste. The biggest thing with the Madden games, I don't understand the logic. Whereas you could throw the ball, some big fat motherfucker who's 300, 400 pounds, whatever. He's supposed to be a blocker. He could intercept the pass, run down the field as if like he just ran a triathlon for 3 days, and it's just like, wait, what? Where's the logic in this? In previous games, you never had that. It was either the receiver can catch the ball, the blockers can block it, but they can intercept, but they wouldn't be able to run as fast. They'd be these slow little fat dudes, and then like if you can catch them. Now the simulated base is like they could run just as fast, and I'm just looking at this like I don't see the logic. I don't know what they're doing with that.
I mean, from being experienced, from the experience of me being one of those fat guys who block, we do not run that fast. I can tell you that right now.
You said the other day some
Uh,
guy from the Bengals attempted that, and he didn't even make it halfway across the field.
well, no, he actually did make it. He got a 98-yard touchdown. Went right to the sidelines. They put oxygen on him. So it's rare. It's really rare in the way.
The way I look at it is if you're not born as an athlete to go and do all this running and shit, and you're born to do one position, do that. Just that. Don't do nothing else. That's just me. But that's what Madden's kind of fixated on is like the unorthodox nature of how like it, back in the old days it was really weird because you could take some guy who wasn't a quarterback and you could move him into the quarterback position Now they got the simulation thing where it's like, yeah, he plays this position, not this one. And it's just like, it was weird because you could have like, you could experiment with that. You get Brian Urlacher, for example. You could put him, he's a linebacker, but you put him back in the quarterback position, and it's just like, wait, what? And I tried it once, and like that was a disaster. And now these newer ones, they got them categorized by, what is it, bazookas and something else. There's like these weird tags that they put on these
Yeah,
guys.
now you got in Madden games now you have, well, any EA game at this point, you have people with like these superpowers almost. That if you do one thing correctly, they gain that superpower. And that's,
It's really
trust me,
stupid.
trust me, people, that's not how sports work. They don't get superpowers in the middle of a game.
Now, I can kind of feel, in a sense, that we're touching on sports games. 2K does the same thing.
They do. But
They're not
in my opinion,
superpowers, it's just the name.
2K makes better sports games.
Hey, Nick, what's going on, buddy? Well, they do. They make very unique sports games to where, like, it's good simulation. You know, they have their fair share of bugs, but they usually catch them right away. If they don't, they usually, like, you know, they'll do 2 patch updates, and they'll be like, oh, crap, people are putting in the forums that this isn't working. This is bad. We got to fix this. Like, you got a guy, you'll get that one bug where it's like, this guy is supposed to be a 3-point shooter, and, like, literally he'll be bugged if you're playing, like, you know, my team or a season, franchise mode, whatever it is. He could flash green every time, and you don't even, like, flash the green. Like, you'll go above the green line, and it'll still flash green. And I'm just like, wait, what? And I know it was like NBA 2K20, I think that was, is when that bug was happening. And that's how people were, like, cheating on their My Player stuff. Because the green flash was broken. And then it broke even more when 21 came out. And then when 22 dropped, it's like, okay, we redid the entire engine. We found the problem. It was something in the mechanics was all off to where, like, I guess the percentage rate was off. No matter how many times they patched it, it broke more and more and more and more. And it was really shitty. You go to dunk the ball. How do you botch that? The guy goes up, dunks the ball. He misses the net entirely and just hits the rim. The ball goes flying in the air. How do you miss that? The ball, you got 2 hands, or you get those goofballs who do it with, like, 1 hand. But, like,
yeah.
2K has made they made a bad habit of making train wrecks in their own right. Take WWE, for example. 2K20 was terrible. The worst out of all the ones they've made. 14, 15, 16 was alright. 17, 18, 19, phenomenal. Had no issues, little to no issues. 20 drops, it's like they went back to 17 all over, and they got guys warping through the ropes, guys not showing up properly, textures all fucked up, women's teeth, like their jawlines hanging out of their face, and it's like, wait, what? No. And, you know, the games weren't saving properly, people were losing progress, the microtransactions were broken. And then, like, they take a year off, they don't make a game for an entire year, they drop 22. Awesome shit. You know, that one was by far successful. They reworked everything. Facial recognition, physics, mechanics. Everything was just completely redone. What's up, Moose? But the touchback on what you were saying about, like, the superpower thing, I think what they need to do is take less time with stuff like that and more time kind of building into the game mechanics and making things how they're supposed to. You got a guy in the air and you tackle him to the floor. They got to put more emphasis on the impact of it, not make it look like you just tackled a piece of paper in the air and he hits the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait, what? I just nailed that dude. He should be, like, dead or concussed, but he just gets up like, that was fun. Do it again.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another thing. Injuries in these sports games, they're non-existent most of the time. They're just not there.
Unless you're playing NHL, you can get an injury every, like, 2-3 minutes. Like, you hit a dude hard enough, he's gonna get hurt. You hit the puck hard enough, he's gonna get hurt.
That's where, like, you're telling me all these things about. I haven't played the new NHL game. You're telling me all these things about NHL, so there's obviously a way different, maybe way better team working on NHL than is on games like Madden or FIFA.
Well,
I don't know.
I would say the same. You know, they could be. Like I said, I could be wrong. They could be totally different people, or they could be the same guys working on the same stuff, because they all drop in different times of the year. But usually NBA and NHL drop around the same time of year, which is in the winter. FIFA drops like kind of in the fall, so they backtrack 2 months. But the thing I see with the hockey games is that they've really have put a lot more effort into those, because I guess over the past years they weren't as good, whereas Madden and FIFA were doing better at sales than that, so they kind of turned their attention to that. Like, I could basically throw a whole video on the screen of what NHL 23 is on about, and you could literally look at it and, okay, they implemented, you know, the female league into it, to where, like, okay, now they're kind of taking a bite out of what 2K is doing. They're implementing, you know, the WNBA, so now they got, like, you know, the Women's National Hockey League going, and it's just like, okay,
FIFA did that too. Obviously, may or may not know that FIFA has like a bunch of teams, and it's mostly men teams, right?
you're right.
Now they have the women's national teams. They have women's leagues from Europe.
This is all stuff that should have been implemented 10 years ago, when, you know, women's sports was actually kind of like on the rise, and they, you know, the sporting leagues were opening up to more, you know, female based sports stuff. And if they would have done that a lot sooner, I think the games would have been a lot more successful. Now, they also should have implemented a bit more of the college format. You know, you and I were just discussing 2 days ago about how NCAA was, they were the jam. They were the fun games. And whether it was basketball, whether it was football, those were the two games that were the jam back in the day. They sold more than any sports games ever made. Whether
I still play them on emulators.
Exactly.
I mean, they're amazing.
The only problem that they had with that is that who was making them? Was it EA? EA was making them.
Yes, EA was making them.
For some reason, I thought 989 Sports was making it. They were a very old developer company. It was 989 Studios, but then they had 989 Sports, and I think they were making snowboarding games. I think at one point I thought they were making NCAA games, and then EA came in and kind of took over. They bought the contract and said sayonara to those guys, because they were like from the PlayStation 1 era. 989 was very, very old. Old software, old developers, they had a different mindset. But the NCAA games, the only reason why they stopped them, they didn't want to pay the players royalties for being in the game. So like, okay, well, we can't make these games anymore. We don't see the point. If we don't pay these guys, we can't put them in there, which means we don't have a game. I thought that was stupid. Cut them, give them a freaking royalty percentage.
That's not the case anymore, because now college athletes get paid way more than a normal person.
What's up, Thomas?
So now EA is remaking the college football game, but it's going to be on the Madden engine,
which is going to be garbage, because Madden is already kind of in the thrash pool, and you're going to throw NCAA in there. If they're going to do that, they should do it exactly how I discussed it with you 2 days ago. They're going to make a game like that. You know, you got the games that are on, you know, that have multi games on one disc. You go to the main screen, you got Madden on one side, NCAA on the other. Pick and choose which one, and they both function differently. But at the same time, they'd have to cut down on costs, which EA has no problem doing that. They do that all the time. Hence why the Sims games. I'm going to jump into that real quick. Those games, back on the older consoles, PlayStation 2, all the way up to GameCube, whatever other consoles that they were on, let's remember, those games had the most shittiest textures, but they were the most fun. But as they kind of evolved over the years, you got 25 in total, or is it 45 expansion packs now?
It's a lot.
Not counting the base games. So you put more money. You put more money into DLC packs when you're looking at the base game and you're loading in the base game. Okay, imagine this: you have the base game, no mods, no DLC. You load in, your sim is missing a face or a head or his eyes in the wrong place or something. They're focusing on a DLC pack where your guy looks like a fucking Cyclops. I'll be standing there like, oh my god, I only got one eye! Fucking
That's EA.
Cycloptic, son of a bitch.
That's, that's literally EA for you right there.
Exactly. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you, buddy. Welcome to the
And I
podcast.
mean, if I want to go to this when EA had the Star Wars games, right?
Right.
They only had one good game out of all of them, and that was, in my opinion, they only had one good game out of all of them, and that was Jedi Fallen Order.
I'll backtrack a little bit because they had two of them that were better than that one.
If you think of the Battlefront games are better than.
No, not those Battlefronts. The ones from like the older Battlefronts, the original.
Oh yeah,
those two. Those were Battlefront games. These other two, I don't mind the second one. The second one was decently good. The only thing that sucked was that if you're playing a hero, they can't do like if they both hit a heavy attack at the same time. They don't do the when the lightsabers kind of like they're locking horns type shit. They just slash each other. Where in the first game, if you both hit a heavy attack, you guys go into kind of like a duel. Then they took that away. And I'm just like, what is the logic in this? And the first one was trash. It was awful.
Yeah, it was bad.
And this is coming from a diehard Star Wars fan, okay? Like, if I could, I would say, look down at my shoes, can you? Like, hardcore Star Wars fan. For me to say that this game sucks shit, it is a shitty game, shitty label. Period. The remake of Battlefront, when it first dropped, everyone was excited. They played the reviews. I don't even know how half these people can say the reviews were good. You spawn.
They were shit.
As soon as you spawn, you're dead. You get spawn trapped all the time. You don't get any like. You don't unlock any unlockables or achievements or anything. You just pick up weapons off the ground and then you just get them. You don't. There's really no. There's no reward system. It was terrible. Then they dropped number 2. They did a little bit better with that, with the reward system and the.
Except for the loot crates.
The loot crates were fucking they're retarded and they're completely just they're garbage. It's awful. You backtrack to the first 2 Battlefront games, you could play those for hours and hours and not get bored because it was just like, okay, this is nonstop fun, and they were split screen. You can't split screen anymore. Everything you can. Let's look at multiplayer games today. Okay, I just slammed the shit out of my keyboard because I'm so mad. Multiplayer games, they're not split screen anymore. That is what made everybody's childhood. You could sit there with your brother, your older brother, younger brother, and you guys could sit there and taunt each other and kick each other in the face and all this other stuff. I'm gonna beat you. Hey. Nowadays, you gotta have 2 different fucking TVs. What happened to classic fucking split screen? I don't understand it.
I think the only games that I keep seeing actually have split screen are the Lego games. I think those are the only ones.
Those are the only ones that are left, and aside from maybe Forza and a couple racing games. You go back to Nintendo 64 and you're playing GoldenEye, you can have fucking 4 screens playing at one time, sometimes even 6, depending on how many players you had that day and how many friends you made at school. You could play The Legend of Zelda, like Raya's talking about in there. Legend of Zelda was friggin' amazing. You could have up to 2 players playing that. And then you got PS1, you could have up to 2 to 3 players if you had like the extra adapter. PS2, you could have up to 2, I think, but if you had the adapter, you could do up to 4. But like it was just like literally, and I just don't know. It's just I don't understand why they would take something so simple and they just completely try to delete it from history and just remove it, and it's just removed and removed and removed. And now they're just focused on multiplayer based games where you could play online with your friends. Okay, not everybody has a console or a PC. You want to go to your friend's house and link up a controller and hook up 2 controllers and play a game. That's how I grew up.
Yeah, my early childhood, that's how it was.
And they had the fun combat games. Okay, the combat games, the original Call of Duties, which was Finest Hour, Big Red 1. 3 was garbage. Hated it. The Modern Warfare dropped. Okay, that was solid. Very good. Then you had Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor Rising Sun was the shit. Loved it. You could play multiplayer with that. and I could play that with my little brother for hours, and we would taunt each other because we constantly we were competitive, and we still are to this day. We're competitive, gamers when it comes to like games where you're competing against other people. We're constantly like that. Big one we
Yeah.
played as kids. I mean, this might be before your time, but we had Freedom Fighters.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
It's a very very old military based game. It was like U.S. versus Russia. You could play that for hours on end, and it was just like it would be snowing, raining outside, whatever. You could play that. Me and my brother would competitively play that for hours and hours and hours. Then it would just be that and Battlefront.
Me and my me and my brother used to play Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops multiplayer. That was
Original Black Ops was good. Black Ops 2, yeah. Black Ops 3, awesome. Black Ops 4, trash.
yeah. Let's just not talk about the remakes of Modern Warfare either, because those are jokes.
The ones that just dropped?
Yeah,
I can disagree to that.
they're jokes.
I can disagree with number 2. 2 came out great. 1, the first remake, was kind of like, okay, this does not relate to anything that we played in the originals.
The
2, I think what they were trying to do was, now that they have the better technology, make it actually look like a solid game, whereas last time it was just completely combat nonstop. But we can agree to disagree with that, and that's because
Activision has gone down the hill.
and
Completely.
let's remember Activision. Activision is responsible for a lot of video game democracy. And I use that word because, well, it's the correct word. They've made hundreds of games over the years, from Call of Duty.
Tony Hawk.
It's mostly Tony Hawk, Crash Bandicoot, Destiny, Wolfenstein, Skylanders, Spyro, Prototype, Guitar Hero. You can go on and on and on. But the big ones I point out as someone my age is Tony Hawk. Okay. They did freaking great with those, and they made a lot of them as they advanced. If you go into 3, 4, Underground, they kind of added some comedy in there. And you could see now there's no words. They completely they put too much effort into something to where it's just like, okay, you guys did too much with this.
Well, they're trying to compete. That's all these companies are trying to do.
Yeah, THQ tried that, and they used to have the WWE contracts, which 2K wound up getting because THQ just, I guess, wasn't. They were living up to expectations for sure. Everybody could play a THQ WWE game all day long. These newer ones made by 2K, you see more complaints about 2K having their contract versus THQ, and now they're gone. THQ used to make a lot of the Nickelodeon games back in the day, the SpongeBob ones, Rocket Power. There was Nicktoons Racing, I think, which was a lot of fun too. Another split screen. You can go on and on. Activision has made a whole lot of video games over the years, but they have made a whole lot of mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, another company that lost, like, EA does not own the contract for Star Wars anymore.
Nope. Disney.
EA lost their contract with Star Wars. They cannot make Star Wars. They do not own the rights to the Star Wars video games anymore. Maybe Disney's helping us out with that one.
Gotta love Disney.
Because Ubisoft is actually making an open world Star Wars game where you could be whatever you want in the Star Wars world. You'll have your own ship. You can go around the galaxy, basically.
Look what they did with Squadrons. That game was a freaking. That game was a bonfire.
Let's hope Ubisoft. I don't know what to say about Ubisoft, but
Ubisoft needs to basically make their mechanics a little bit better, because you see games like the Tom Clancy games those mechanics are terrible. The guys walk around so stiff, it's like they have a stick stuck up their ass and they can't walk.
I mean, Ubisoft, they have the Assassin's Creed games, which I don't mind the Assassin's Creed games. They have the, what else do they have? They have Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs was good though.
What else does Ubisoft have? Huh.
Ubisoft doesn't have a whole lot of contracts, to be honest. I think they're literally like the most unused developer aside from Tony. You know, like you said, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six Siege, anything Tom Clancy, Avatar. For Honor was one. Believe it or not, one of the Mario games. I think it was Rapids Sparks of Hope, which was the most recent. Watch Dogs, South Park, Rocksmith. They don't have many contracts. They really don't. And a lot of them are they're very small quality contracts to where like they're not games that are gonna basically live forever type thing. They're usually a series, or they're just like a one-time release, and they're looking for a cheap developer. Yeah. That's usually how that goes. Now, if you got somebody like Rockstar,
they're one of a kind, sir.
Rockstar takes the cake for the most retarded developers I've ever seen. To where you guys don't even have the proper national electronical security to let some little asshole 16 years old hack into your shit and and leak your development plans for the newest game.
The newest, probably going to be the biggest game.
Exactly, and he leaked it, and you guys didn't even have the security to have that. That's on you guys. And everybody was saying, oh, like, you know, they're trying to punish this kid, which he should be punished. He broke a very major national security law. He hacked a computer, but these guys are not. Sorry, disturbed in the background. What the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, Rockstar. Yeah, their hacking group, whatever it is. Yeah, Anonymous did that with the GTA Online servers for a while. People were getting free money, and yeah, I logged in. I recall logging on one time on PS3, and I had like almost literally $30 million. I didn't know where the hell it came from. Thankfully, I guess if you used any of it, they didn't like take it away from you or anything, but whatever you had left, they took. So I pretty much bought a majority of what I wanted, and then they took the rest. But
Rockstar might not have the best security.
They really don't. They've been hacked several times. They've been hacked.
But they have
times. They've had stuff leaked. GTA 5 was leaked before it was released. That's why it was pushed for like another 6 months after it was supposed to be. And then,
was Red Dead 2 leaked?
No, Red Dead was never leaked. Red Dead was never leaked. Somehow they managed to not do that. But that one was.
They managed to protect probably one of their biggest games of all time.
They did manage. And the Xbox 360, like, let's look at Microsoft. Billy's making a valid point. They had a bunch of GTA hackers everywhere. Then a lot of money drops. People were just dropping money on the ground. And you just pick it up and it's like millions and millions of dollars. That's what I was bringing back to what I had just said about how, like, you'd log in, you'd have millions of dollars, don't even know where you got it. You're freaking out because you're thinking, okay, was this a Rockstar event? And I just accumulated a bunch of experience points and money bonuses. Turns out that's not the case. Turns out, somebody was on the got in there and just dropped a bunch of money drops on everybody's accounts. It goes to show that, Rockstar, they don't pay much attention to their security. To them, it's profit. It's it. Profit. It's all they care about. They don't care about security.
And do you blame them? They're making the profit. they're most certainly making profit.
I mean, for them to basically really release GTA 5 on 3 different generation consoles and still make sales on it. I mean, they're not doing anything wrong there.
For GTA 5 to be as popular as it is for how long it's in this October it's going to be 10 years old.
Technically, it would be a... Yeah, you know what? No. It got pushed to September. It'd be September, actually.
September?
Because it was originally spring 2013. Then they pushed it to September.
So
September, it'll be 10 years old.
10 years.
And still making more sales than probably any game ever released. And it's been re-released 3 times.
On 3 different consoles.
Yeah,
Well, not 3 different.
PS3,
3 different.
360. They even had a console that came out with it, but it was like a PS3 special. Like it was like a top. It had like the PS3, but it had like a slide top, so you just slide it open, put the disc in, slide it shut, and it came with the game. Then you had it came out with the collector's edition, which came with like a money bag. You get like a pin, a hat, and some other shit. I know because I got the darn thing. And then the new consoles dropped months later, and then you get your
Updated graphics, updated
graphics, and all that crap. And then, what is it? That was in 2013. So the new consoles dropped a few months after the game dropped. And then, oh shit! Wait. 8 years later, they re-release it on the newer consoles.
And just a couple. Was it when did a couple of years ago now they re-released it?
Yeah, that's why I said about 8 years after 2013 they re-released it on the new console.
Oh yeah,
with better the visuals aren't much different. I have it on my PS5. It looks no different.
We all know the best graphics are in Red Dead Redemption 2. Just saying.
And I'll tell you why. As I eat my fat ass some ribs over here.
Because it's beautiful.
They use a different graphics engine.
They do for Red.
Mm-hmm. They use a different graphics engine. Better recognition. It was such good facial recognition software, you wouldn't have known that the voice actors' faces were actually on the characters because they did a good job trying to conceal their faces and kind of maintain the cartoonish demeanor that... Because the character's supposed to be a character, a cartoon. It's not supposed to be the same as the voice actor. But nowadays, a lot of them are supposed to resemble the person that they're playing.
No, I'm looking at Arthur Morgan right now.
He looks nothing like...
No, he doesn't look anything like... What is Rob something, I think. What's his fucking voice actor? Morgan voice actor.
He's portrayed by Roger something.
Roger Clark.
Yeah, Roger Clark. And they look nothing like him. Now, you can kind of see a good resemblance.
There is a resemblance.
There's a resemblance when they're, from the guy that plays Dutch Vanderlyn. You can see a resemblance in their faces a little bit.
Yeah, but the guy who plays Dutch is way bigger than Dutch is.
Now, the funny thing was, in the first Red Dead, the guy that played Dutch, he sounded a lot more raspy because he was a heavy smoker. Now that he quit smoking, you play the prequel, I'm like, okay, he sounds a little bit more like a person and not somebody who's losing his voice every second of the day. So, it's just it was weird.
And we all went into Red Dead 2 wanting to play as John Marston. That's just... Everybody wanted to play. We didn't know who Arthur Morgan was. We didn't care about... We wanted... And then we just... Throughout the story, we got so attached to Arthur Morgan that it's just...
Well, the thing is, that's why when you play the first one, everyone didn't understand why John was so against, Dutch and, turning back to that life and trying to move forward and be with his family and everything else. And it's because Arthur was the one responsible for that.
Yeah. And... I mean, whoever created the story for Red Dead 2, goddamn, needs awards.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
That game got more than enough awards.
Yeah, probably. Winner of over 175 Game of the Year awards. And, oh my god. I'm reading the Steam description of Red Dead right now. Over 250 perfect scores. Damn.
What made me mad was that year that it should have got Game of the Year the first year around, God of War wins it. I'm like, what the fuck? Who cares about that shit? God of War has been around for years. It wins an award every time it has a performance. Like, who cares? It's just Greek mythology. Who gives a fuck?
Won an award 2022. It won the Game of the Year.
Who? What?
The new one. The new God of War in 2022 won Game of the Year. Pretty sure.
Ragnarok?
Yep.
I think it's rigged because anytime a God of War title drops, automatic Game of the Year.
Because we all know Red Dead. It's kind of better.
The only thing I could take away is that like the online portion of Red Dead is better than the first one was.
Yeah. Let me recorrect myself. Elden Ring won the Game of the Year in 2022.
I don't know how it can win anything. That game's a royal pain in the ass. You see more people rage quit that fucker. And we've all seen how Rye handles that game. Motherfucker! Fucking done with this game. What the hell?
You know, another game series 2K made was the Mafia series.
Mafia games are good. It's just the only difference is they lack.
They're repetitive.
Well, not just that. At the end of the game, the open world concept is nice, but it'd be nice if you can actually like get drunk and there could be like interactions and stuff like that. But instead, all you do is walk around. You can just run around and drive cars and kill people.
Which gets old at some points.
If I want to do that, I'll just play GTA.
Yep.
The only games that 2K is good at making is fucking like games like what do they call those? Borderlands.
Borderlands, yeah. 2K owns BioShock?
Yeah.
Huh.
You did not know this?
No.
Look at BioShock. Never once touched a single BioShock game.
No, I haven't either.
I've never touched fucking Fallout because I think Fallout is garbage.
I played Fallout 4 a little. I wasn't interested. I played it for about an hour.
You play Fallout 3 when it first drops. First thing you do, you're celebrating your birthday and they give you a cake and all this crap. Like, you think I give a shit about a fucking birthday? I want to go out and kill things.
Yeah.
The game has no concept. It's kind of like how that game Death Stranding was.
Yeah. Oh, what other games are there? There's a new Harry Potter game coming out soon. Hogwarts Legacy. Looks cool.
The old Harry Potter games when EA made them, those were fun. They're based off the movies, obviously. To an extent. Because they tried to make video games a little bit different. I get it.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. The Harry Potter games didn't sell, but only to the people who were fans of the films.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. That's basically it for Harry Potter games.
What's up, David? Welcome to the podcast.
I do think that this new Harry Potter game is probably going to sell a lot, though.
This is the first one in like almost 15 years, so can't count the Lego Harry Potters because they're just Lego games.
They're Lego games. They don't have voice acting.
No, like
Have you
bringing
played?
back voice acting, except for like these newer ones that are movie based.
Have you seen the? Have you played the Batman Arkham series?
I think they could
Or
have
at
done
least
better with that series.
probably could, but they were still very good games. In my opinion, they were good games.
I like the mechanics and the combat system. I just didn't like how the story was so damn slow.
Yeah, but like
Hogwarts
there
Legacy isn't even out yet, and people are already against it. And it's only
for
because
what?
it's not current. It's old Hogwarts, like way before like the none of the
Oh,
new.
why? Because they're not getting Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Can people like come on
It's
now?
actually gonna be pretty cool to see exactly how Hogwarts originated.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's gonna be like so much in the past that it's not gonna be the characters we know.
Who knows? We might run into like Godric Gryffindor or some shit. Salazar Slytherin.
Experience Hogwarts in the 1800s. So I don't think Dumbledore was around then.
Dumbledore died when he was 420 years old.
Okay.
402? Yes. Something like that.
Shit. Maybe he was around then.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll see a young Dumbledore.
Billy's like, he was old as hell. Yeah, he was.
Hey, Yoda Yoda was like 900 something when he died.
It seems like the wiser wizards or Jedi when it comes to those two movies are the ones that live the longest. If you're dumb as fuck, you die.
All those all those Jedi we had no names for at like like in Revenge of the Sith that all died in Order 66.
Dumb as fuck.
Now we have names for some of them, but still.
I didn't like what they did with the Clone Wars though. They turned that into a animated television series, and it was nothing to do with the comic books, and it had nothing to do with the film. So I'm just like, what's the point? Like, so if Anakin's already a Padawan to Obi-Wan, how could he have a Padawan? It made no sense.
Supposedly during right when the war started, he was promoted to Jedi Knight,
Yeah, but
which I
still,
still don't understand how he can add a Padawan because that doesn't make sense. I thought you had to be a master.
yeah, you gotta be a
Oh wait,
Jedi Master.
maybe he was promoted all the way to I don't know. I know he was a Jedi General, but
There was a lot of things that were misconstrued throughout that entire series. And he kind of take like Hayden Christensen and take his voice acting away from the character, and it just made Anakin sound like a weirdo.
no, but Hayden Christensen's Darth Vader is scary as fuck.
Like if you like, we all saw the Obi-Wan series, like yeah, his version of Vader was fucking scarier than the other one.
Like what Vader's actually supposed to be like a
Compared to
scary.
that old dude that basically was in the what was it, New Hope, Empire
Yeah,
Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi. Like you get this old dude underneath there. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Vader was supposed. Vader was very mobile. He was very ruthless. That people were afraid of him for a reason.
Exactly. But like,
But in the original trilogy, he was like just like there, like
what pissed me off is when we're on the topic of video games when it came to the Star Wars games. They didn't have Phantom Menace. They didn't have Attack of the Clones made by a video game, but they made Revenge of the Sith.
well, Revenge of the Sith is the best of the three of those. But
It would have been nice to have a game to go with the other.
I get your point. I
It's like
get your
you
point.
skip the first two films and then jump right to the third, and it's just like, why? There's no logic there. There clearly is no logic there.
Yeah.
Now, you got games that are like turned into a franchise. Let's go back to the difficulties.
Difficulties.
Who all thinks here Okay, we can agree. The remakes are always easier than their original predecessors.
Yeah, because they're made for children.
Resident Evil, perfect franchise to throw on the board. Those games on PS1 and PS2 were a pain in the ass. You had to go through like a boss several different times because the physics back then weren't all that great. The mechanics were very stiff. The graphics were terrible. You get locked in a doorless room and you can't you don't know where to go, and it turns out you just got to push that magic button that's sitting in front of your face the whole time you're pissed off. And Nemesis looked like he had a potato sack over his head with an eyeball sticking out. It was just really weird, and it was difficult. But you got to do more. Like, you could explore an area without having to, like, worry about, getting attacked every 2 seconds. You go into the remaster of Resident Evil 3. You try to explore an area, and out of nowhere, Nemesis just falls from the sky and tries to blow you up with a rocket launcher that he magically pulled out of his asshole. It was more challenging now. Excuse me. More challenging then than now. Games today are made for mainly just
I think that has happened with
every game.
children.
They be made to be easy for children, even though the ESRB rating says either mature, and it's still made to be easy because the parents don't give a shit. They'll buy them whatever the kid wants, and it's like
if you have 10-year-olds playing GTA 5, so like, come on.
Let's put that into perspective. Exactly what you just said, right? 10-year-olds playing GTA. There was a game back in the day, and I was at GameStop, and I was flabbergasted because the employees said nothing, gave no fucks, because the parents obviously gave no fucks. There was a game on PlayStation and Xbox. The original, like, there was PlayStation 2, and then the original Xbox.
Yeah.
There was a game called Playboy.
Is that based off of what I think it's based off of?
Yeah, the Playboy Mansion and all this. It was one of those names.
Oh!
It was one of those games that never should have been released. It should have been sold in an adult shop and not a game shop. But you got this little 10-year-old saying he wants this, and his dad literally buys it for him because he gives no fucks. And I'm just looking at this dude like,
nice.
Motherfucker, my dad wouldn't even let me buy fucking Scarface, but you could. You're getting that game. Okay.
Okay.
Now that game was good. Scarface was a good game.
Say hello to my dear friend. Okay.
Because literally that game pretty much takes place after the events of the movie, where it's like instead of getting shot in the back, you actually have the option to turn around, kill the dude, and actually play out what actually could have happened if he would have lived. So it's like you got to change the events of the movie.
Interesting.
I would get an emulator for it, but I can't seem to find one that fucking works. It'll load up half the game, and then like it'll freeze like on the loading screen. It's just like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, that means the game's probably not ready for emulation for that emulator yet. Then.
Well, there's a lot of detail to it, like because you got to like okay, so the concept of the game is simple. You make a bunch of money, make fronts to sell, like to distribute your cocaine and all that other stuff. I know it sounds easier said than done because you have to actually make the money by selling small, kilograms of coke, and eventually you could do from kilograms to not kilograms, dime bags to kilograms, and then you got like the big bricks and all that shit, and you get. It was a whole bunch to it, but it was a really, 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 really fun game. Because like every time you kill somebody, you could taunt them, and if you shoot them in a certain body part, it says it'll like if you shoot them with a certain body part, it's like when you shot him, left nut, right kidney, left kidney, head. I'm like, wait, it says left nut, right nut, but if you shoot him in the dick, it won't say dick. You also got to defend the warehouses, like Billy's saying. Like, you had some warehouses that had, like, product in it. You had to defend them. You also had to defend the front. So, if you say you had a record shop and you had all your fucking coke distributed there and all that, the bad guys or the other gang members would come. They destroy the entire... And then you got to repair it, and that costs money. It was a royal pain in the ass, but it was fun because it kept you busy for hours and it kept you off your parents' ass.
See, if that game was made today, it probably wouldn't have been that much stuff you had to do.
Well, if it was made today, it would be it would have been 10 times better because it was made on PlayStation and it wasn't an exclusive. It was exclusive to just PlayStation and Xbox. Never hit GameCube. Never went on Game Boy. None of that. And it did. I don't really know how to put it. The funny thing about it was such a great game, and the developer for it was another small time. It was another small time developer like Ubisoft. It was made by Radical Development. Same thing as Simpsons Hit and Run, which was like the GTA of the Simpsons, except you don't get to fucking shoot people. You can kick them in the ass, kick them in the head, kick them in the face, whatever, and run people over, and you get the cops chase you. You get a ticket, whatever. But it was like the Simpsons version of GTA, and it made everybody fucking laugh. But then you got other games that was like Red Dead Revolver. That game was ass.
Yeah, I heard that was not a good game.
It was so stiff. It was like playing like those arcade games. You go to the arcade and you got like the little plastic gun and you got to shoot and all that. And it was so unoptimized and it was terrible. Like for what it was worth, I mean, literally like a $30 game up until like PS2 phased out and it was going into 3. It still sells at like retro stores for 25, so it dropped $5 in value, which means some people found this game amusing. Not me.
Hmm.
And you look at games like, Pokemon. Those great games from the you can't beat the classics on Game Boy. Red, blue, yellow, silver, crystal. All those. Those were the great ones. You could play those for hours until your Game Boy batteries were worn. You had to change the batteries. You would play at night. You get the little fucking worm light that connects to the side of that fucker, and you put it over, and you're just playing at night, and it's just like you play that shit for hours. You always had that one thing. It was called the red dot of death on it, which means like if your battery was running low, your red dot would start to flicker. And if you either that was your cue to either save the fucking game or say goodbye to the last 4 hours of progress you just had.
Huh.
That's how it was. You better save this fucker before you change them batteries. I made the mistake of doing that once. I did a whole entire playthrough through Pokemon. I was so focused on it. 6 hours in, didn't save once. Start from scratch, motherfucker.
Damn.
Nowadays, it does auto save for you after every time you beat like a trainer, or if you beat like a gym leader, it'll save automatically. So like it's like, okay, well, at least I didn't lose shit. But nowadays you can actually like charge your console while playing the thing. Back then you had to switch out the batteries. Back then you were actually fighting over other kids at the store to figure out what color you wanted, because everybody wanted like, for some reason, the most popular Game Boy colors were the purple and the blue one. Nobody gave a shit about the fucking Pikachu yellow or the red one, which is what I wound up with, was the red one, because I think that was the only one my mom and dad could find. I think there was also a green one. It's like lime green or some shit. But like the popular colors were purple and that blue color. But like that was Game Boy Color. Before that it was just Game Boy. It was this big fat ass gray thing that was like a big giant C4 charge with buttons on it. You could take that fucker to school and it would be mistaken as a bomb.
Huh.
Like,
Yeah, nowadays probably.
because you were born in what, 2000? You said 2001?
2006.
2006, and then Blade was born in 2008. So, yeah, you were born into like current like fucking technology. Back my parents were like, when I was your age, cell phones were these big ass fucking like things that had like the antennas that pop up and you talk on the fucker and you get shit reception. They had like the built-in walkie-talkies in them and shit.
Huh.
And then you got like you didn't have iPods. You had CD players or a Walkman or whatever the fuck it was.
MP4s.
MP4s that were like these little like they were kind of like iPods, but they were smaller, and you had to get the music off the internet through a special cable. So to
We have,
purchase it, you didn't get And then we had LimeWire and FrostWire, which was when I was in high school. Me and my friend Diego, we fucking spam the fuck out of that free music, and it downloads into your iPod. Fucking would just like completely fuck your iPod up because like that virus is attached to. Well, it wouldn't fuck your iPod up; it'd fuck up your computer because all the viruses attached to all this. And we didn't care because we had shitty computers, and it was his computer, not mine.
huh.
But all the hours of music you download into that. But it's just like it goes to show like this day's generation, they haven't made when it comes to technology. We didn't have it like that.
Hey, we have Spotify now.
You guys have Spotify, you got Pandora, you got iTunes. We didn't have that shit. You want to listen to a fucking music, you had to get a fucking $60 CD player, and then you had to pay an additional $20 for CDs, plus the headphones because they didn't come with the CD player. And you listen to that fucker until the batteries died.
And we don't have to worry about charging our video game devices.
And we had boom boxes too, so you had like the boom box with the CD player. You fucking pop that sucker open, put the CD in, you keep that sucker plugged in, you can listen to that for hours and hours. But like the people don't understand is, and I know this is supposed to be the evolution of history of video games. Well, it's the same thing as technology. It's modern technology. Billy, he's in his mid-30s. He had cassette tapes. So did we. We had cassette tapes. We had VHS. We didn't have DVD. Our version of a big screen TV was a big ass, fat ass, blobby piece of metal with a fucking screen on it, and it was called a plasma screen. It wasn't even a flat screen. And these things were huge. It would take 10 people to get it into your house.
Huh.
We had answering machines. We had landlines for phones. So imagine like coming home from school and all you hear is like a big ringing sound in your house because it's a phone on the wall. Or it sounds like a fire alarm when it rings and it's a cordless phone. Oh, it was the music service you could get music from until the FBI shut it down. Yeah, that's what LimeWire and FrostWire was, and then the FBI shut it down because it was just a bunch of leaked music that wasn't paid for.
Damn. Stupid feds.
The iPod Touch didn't come out until the year you were born. Actually, no, the year Blade was born is when the first iPod Touch dropped.
I think the iPhone came out when.
That's when iPhone and iPod Touch came out at that time. I think it was the year Blade was born. And then it came with, you had the, before that it was the iPod Nanos, which was those ones that were colored. They had different colors. It was purple, blue, orange, whatever, silver. Then you had like, standard iPods. They had the fat ones and they had the little ones. And you had the Nanos, which were like this big. They're like about the size of a piece of chewing gum. How you were able to cycle through music on that fucker, I have no idea. And I'll never know. It was a little square one with no screen, and it was really annoying because you couldn't even see what you were playing.
Huh.
So, like, literally up until, your generation came in 06 and 08, technology was fucking shitty. Everything was battery powered. Didn't have lithium-ion batteries. Your parents spent more time at the fucking Walmart on the Energizer Bunny batteries than anything else.
I'm guessing he didn't have something like Steam either.
No, Steam didn't exist. Our version of video games was literally you had four choices. You had Atari, you had Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy. PlayStation dropped in 94. No, 96. So about 2 years after I was born, the first PlayStation dropped. Now, bear in mind, PlayStation and Nintendo were one company that split into two because their ideas were different.
Actually?
Huh?
I said actually? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were once one company. Sony split off. Sony bought PlayStation and said, "Hey, you guys have some pretty good teams here. We're gonna buy this half. We're gonna take these guys." Nintendo went their separate way.
When did Microsoft get Xbox?
Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft, they came around. So let's see. Here's the fucked up thing. It's very fucked up when I'm older than Google. Okay, literally.
You're older than geeks.
Yeah, I'm older than Google. Google didn't drop until '99. That's when the gateway computers came out, which is Microsoft. That's when
Wait,
Steve.
you're older than YouTube.
Exactly.
You're older than You're older than every social media ever.
Except MySpace.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
even older than that. Shit, MySpace came later. But gateway computers were those big ass cube things that had the little cube that looked like a cow. It was a cube that was cow spotted, and then Steve Jobs came around. Big business tycoon came out with the iMac computers that had all the different colors on it, and all of us kids would beat the shit out of each other to get the best color at school. And if you didn't behave, you got an assigned color, and whether you liked it or not, that was your fucking seat. So, like, back then, what's up, Carson? Welcome to the podcast. So back then, like, video games they were a lot more fun because, well, you had very little choices, but the games were entertaining. For me, by the time I was 6 or 7 years old, I was going into, no, 6 years old, I was going into kindergarten. At Christmas, I got a PlayStation, my first PlayStation. And I got Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal was the shit. You could play that for hours and hours and hours and hours after your homework and just lose track of time. Before you know it, it was bedtime. When the weekend came around, you couldn't wait to play all day, sit in your freaking room, and just sit there. Then you had games like Tomb Raider, Spyro, Frogger. There's a stupid game about a frog that tried to cross the freaking street, and if you didn't, you got squished.
Yeah, I know, Frog.
Crazy Taxi, Tony Hawk. Now, Tony Hawk Pro Skater had two versions. There was one PlayStation, one for Dreamcast. Dreamcast was fun as fuck. The cool thing about the Tony Hawk version for Dreamcast, it had a special character in it. You had to unlock by doing like a certain challenge. You would actually unlock Spider-Man.
Damn.
And his special move was the Spidey backflip. He would stick a freaking web in the air, do a backflip, and then like the board would flip like half a dozen times or whatever the hell it is, and then yeah, very hard move to hit. And I think you could unlock another one. I think Homer Simpson was a character. I think. How I know, it was great. And then you also had what the fuck was his name? It was like a game where like he was like I have it in my Steam library. Maybe I don't. Shadow Man. That's what it was called. I guess this guy. It was very creepy, but it would give you nightmares as a kid, and then your parents would get pissed off because you play that game. We told you not to play that game anymore. Like there was a lot of fun games back then. Now this day and age, you know, you guys had the advanced stuff. 360 and PS3 was around, and the game's graphic material became a little bit more high definition, polished. The textures looked way better because they had access to newer technology. The year Blade was born was the year I graduated middle school. I got my first 360 at that point as a gift. That's what my dad said, don't ask me for anything else for the next 20 years. Because we were poor. We didn't have money. But he said if I passed 8th grade and my grades were decent, he'd get me an Xbox. So he did. And that's when the games, like I said, were improving. And you kind of just... That's when you realize at that point. You're growing up and you can't stop it.
Yeah.
Like 1 minute you're sitting at home, you're this little kid, you can't wait for Christmas break, you can't wait for summer break, you can't wait for spring break. as you hit high school, you'll still have those things, but after high school, that's it. You're an adult. You got to pay your bills. You got to make sure that your family's taken care of. You find relationships. You get married. You have kids, and then it's just like you're at that point. You're planning your legacy at that point. But you know, if your kids grow up to be gamers like you were, you could pass on the knowledge you have to them, and it's just like, wow, Dad, I didn't know you had it so bad, or I didn't know that you had this when we have this. By the time my grandkids are born, cars will be flying in the frickin' sky, and the whole world will look like Futurama or some shit. The way Tesla's coming out with all this crazy shit. But
Did you play any of the NCAA games when you were a kid?
when I was a kid, NCAA games, I think it was like starting. They started the first one in 2001, and then it went 02, 3. But it was like they were made by 2K at the time. Same thing with MLB. MLB and the NCAA games were made by 2K. 2K had a lot of contracts back then, believe it or not. And a lot of them were sports games. They had Major League Baseball, they had NCAA, they had Madden, they had NBA, they had hockey. They had all the sports contracts.
Damn.
And then in 2007, 2K they dropped a couple of them only because each game had to be out at a specific date and they didn't have enough people to reach deadlines. So when that happened was they couldn't build a big enough team, so they dropped a couple of them to EA. It's like, hey, they actually reached out to EA. It's like, would you guys be able to pick up a couple of these contracts that we have?
So they screwed the.
They didn't screw themselves. It wasn't even a matter that because they wanted to. It's because they had to. It was either that or
Yeah.
shut down completely because they couldn't afford it.
Damn.
Believe it or not, back in the day, yeah, they made a lot of money off of like the contracts that they had, but a lot of that goes to like, their electricity bills, their maintenance contracts for like the maintenance of like the computers and stuff. If they ever get fried or whatever, they had to do PC repairs and stuff like that. Everything that they need to actually make the games had to go into that. Paying their employees. Imagine these guys, they're video game developers. How it is now, you can make hundreds of dollars an hour. Back then, you'd make like maybe 20, 30 bucks.
Damn.
Well, not even that. You probably make like 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 bucks an hour. Versus now you can make hundreds of dollars just by helping develop a game. It wasn't like that. Because the economy back then, okay, you have to remember, when I was still in grade school, I think when I was in grade school, I think it was, we just transitioned from Bill Clinton to George Bush Jr. So we were at that time. I was in first grade in class when the World Trade Centers were hit. Cool thing about my school year was my school years were based off of what year it was. Kindergarten, 2000. First grade, 01. Second grade, 02. Third grade, 03. Fourth grade, 04. I graduated the year the world was supposed to fucking end.
Mayan calendar.
Our senior t-shirt says the world isn't ending, we're just taking it over. Everybody was freaking out, like, after graduation. They were looking up at the sky, waiting for meteors and shit. And I'm looking at these fuckers like, y'all dumb as fuck. Like, like, this ain't gonna happen. It'll happen at some point, but not now. But, when 2K, they went over to EA, like, hey, I need you guys to pick up a couple of things for us. Like, well, what can we do to help? Can you pick up Madden contracts? Pick up NHL contracts. We can't take them. Well, all right, we could take those. And then they kind of it took a lot of stress off of them. Give me a second here.
Damn.
So basically, like, and then after that, shortly after that, so up until '09, I believe it was. MLB '09. After that was over with, 2K reached out to Sony Interactive and said, "Hey, we need a favor. We got too much going on. Can you guys pick up the MLB contracts?" That's when MLB The Show became just called The Show. And it was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way up to where we're at right now. So for a while, 2K carried all the sports and dropped two of them to EA and dropped one of them to Sony. So it goes to show, like, even through all of that time, originally it wasn't even Sony. Sony was partnered with 989 Studios, which is what I told you about. That's why a whole lot of like PlayStation exclusives are exclusive because they had two developers working on it. They were partnered with them. So Twisted Metal was PlayStation exclusive. That's why we had Last of Us as an exclusive. That's why we had Death Stranding was exclusive. And MLB The Show was exclusive to PlayStation up until last year.
Yeah,
They lost the contract because 989 went out of business, so Sony didn't have a partner to go with. Their 989's departing words were, like, look, maybe it's time that some of the games that we have exclusive to the brand, maybe we branch out a little bit, and we'll just collect royalties. So they let Xbox and... it was just Xbox. They just allowed Xbox and Nintendo to kind of pick up on those titles, and they just collect the royalties off of it. Nintendo already gives them royalties because, like I said, they were a partnered company at one point. Then they split off. They're both Japanese companies, but they broke off because, well, Sony comes around and says, "Hey, we want to buy the PlayStation name." So they bought it and they took it. So game designs, as time went on, was based off of, I wouldn't say popularity like they do now. It's all profit, like you said earlier. It's prophesized. But you were saying earlier about how, like, Madden games and all the sports games, like NCAA games, okay, were the shit.
Yeah.
I think if they were made today, they would still be the shit. Nobody would pick up a Madden game.
No.
Because college football, believe it or not, more people watch that on television than they watch the actual National Football League.
Yeah. I mean, with these NCAA games, there's 10 times more teams than there actually are in the normal games because of how many colleges sign on to these games.
It makes it more fun, too, because, well, I think there was also a feature in those games where you actually got to actually coach the team.
Yeah, Dynasty mode.
You ain't got that shit in Madden.
Yeah, you got
GM mode, but it's shitty.
Yeah.
And it's, like, limited, and you can't really do much. It's not like you can actually, like, be on the field and give a command. Like, it's like... I think the last Madden game that was any good was 07.
Yeah, probably around that time.
That was it. After that, they were garbage.
They started copy and pasting.
Mm-hmm. And it was bad copy and pasting, because sometimes some stuff from the previous year would still be there, or a player would still be there, and he was been off the team for a better part of 2 years. You'd be 2 years into, like, you can go from 07 to 010, there'll still be the same guy from 2 years ago. Like, his contract ended 2 years ago. And some of the old shit would find its way into the new shit, and it was just really freaking annoying.
But EA... See, the thing with EA is that they know if they copy and paste, they'll still get money for the game.
Absolutely.
They still know people will pay... People like me will pay $60 for the game.
Oh, they sure will.
Because it's current people.
It's current events in a nutshell, for sure. And I like college ball. Like, me and my dad, we used to watch college ball all the time. But it's these newer guys, the NFL. Yes, it's college ball to an extent because they come from a college, they get drafted to the NFL. That's after that is when they're underutilized.
Yeah.
And, you know, they put them on the bench. Like, imagine being drafted to the NFL and you're hoping to basically either be a starter or at some point play, and you've been benched the whole season and you got paid to do absolutely nothing. You feel like
Tim
shit.
Tebow.
Well,
Tim Tebow.
yeah,
Tim Tebow.
you feel like shit because you're sitting there the entire season. You got paid to do nothing, and imagine your teammates being like, "Man, he's getting paid. He didn't even do shit."
Tim Tebow was literally one of the not if the best quarterback of his time in college,
I agree.
and he did nothing in the NFL. Now I don't know
Same
if
with Rex Grossman. We
yeah,
wound up getting him, and he was trash the entire time we had him. He got us to one Super Bowl game, and he fucked it up because he thought it'd be a good idea to play with a fractured ankle. And
yeah,
we had wound up turning to Kyle Orton for like the last two halves. Rex Grossman was doing great. We were winning the game. We almost had a Super Bowl win that night. Kickoff, I think it was right around the year. Yeah, you and Shark were really little at that. Or you and Blade were very little at that time. We, on the kickoff, Devin Hester caught the ball on kickoff and ran all the way across the field untouched, 109 yards. Touchdown right out the kickoff, right after the ball was kicked. Opening kickoff, scored right there. For that, the momentum was in our court and from there. The momentum was in our court from that point on.
did they fuck it up?
Indianapolis was our, we were playing Indianapolis, which at the time, Peyton Manning was still playing.
Ah, the Peyton Manning Colts.
Exactly. And they were shocked. We shell shocked them off that kickoff, and they were already intimidated. Like, okay, they ain't playing. We were the underdogs. Okay, and now we get that kickoff, we get the touchdown, and then after that, I guess Grossman somehow got hurt. He got tackled some sort of way, and he decided it would be good to play instead of taking the bench, let Kyle Orton step in, which was a bad idea from the get go. Orton wasn't seasoned. He played maybe 2 or 3 games that season, and he did horribly. Only because he wasn't well trained, fresh out of college, and you're fresh out of college and you've only played 3 games in the National League, you're gonna fuck up.
Yeah, and NFL it is true what they say that the NFL is different than college football.
It didn't. Okay, it didn't help that we had Coach Lovey. He sucked balls. He was the worst football coach I have ever seen.
See, my football team has had a great coach for 20-something years. So.
And, well, yeah. I mean, New England Patriots have had they got 8 Super Bowls. 8.
6.
Sorry, 6. The most out of any team in the NFL. Period.
Nah, tied with the Steelers.
Steelers ain't shit. They're ass. They're Pittsburgh. They're caca. It's a steel tycoon state. No one cares.
We could have had 7.
Brady could request a trade anytime he wants. Go to freaking New England right now, and they'd be in the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. Over with. No problem. Without issue. He adjusted with the Bucks. First season with the Bucks, Super Bowl win.
Now the Bucks barely made it to the playoffs.
Well, I mean, the momentum was lost. He retired for literally the beginning of the season, decided to come back 2 weeks after retirement, and they're looking at him like, you're an asshole.
Well, yeah.
But he's earned that right.
He's when you're the greatest.
Was it 35 years of football?
When was he drafted?
He was drafted in 01, I think.
Yeah, 23 years.
So 23 years.
And get this, Brady was a 6th-round pick. He wasn't supposed to be the big star.
Well, the thing
he was supposed to be a bench player,
which he never injured. He never got a torn rotator cuff. He never tore a tricep. He never done any of that would have affected his ability to play. Now they're looking at Patrick Mahomes to being the next person to fill those shoes. Do I believe that he could do it? Yes, he has the charisma. He has the athletic ability, but he doesn't have the attitude.
No.
He's cocky, which most African American quarterbacks and athletes are like that. Look at LeBron James. He calls himself King James.
We all know Michael Jordan's better than him.
Exactly. We all know Kobe Bryant's better than him. Hell,
See,
even old man kneecaps is better than him. You know who I'm talking about.
yeah,
Shaquille O'Neal is even better than him.
Shaq's one of a kind.
Exactly. Yao Ming was even better than him, and that dude could barely even run across court. All he had to do was pick up the ball, reach up in the air, and put it in the basket because he didn't have to jump.
Yeah,
Motherfucker was 7'6".
I when people say LeBron's a goat, I have one thing to say to them, and this is it.
Prove it.
No,
And they'll show
I
you
have another.
footage.
I
They'll show you all this footage.
yeah, they'll show you all this footage, but I have some. Who has never lost in an NBA final? That's all I have to say.
Michael Jordan,
Exactly.
hands down.
Exactly.
And the thing
Exactly.
is, he was on an underdog team, which he made
His
great.
whole career. His whole career.
Which he made great. And
LeBron
then
has always had help.
Jordan
He's
made two
always had help.
mistakes. He made two mistakes: retiring and
Coming
then
back.
going to play baseball. I don't know what the this man was thinking.
Was
Now,
he thinking he
originally
was
that was
Bo
his plan.
Jackson?
No, because originally he wanted to be a baseball star, but
So did
his
Tom
father
Brady.
saw his gift with basketball and told him stick to this. Baseball, basketball, good, and he did. And look what happened. He won 6 championships. What was it? 4 MVPs.
I think something around there.
4 MVPs. Kobe Bryant kind of followed in those footsteps a bit because he took advice from Jordan. He didn't work. Jordan has given LeBron advice. He's gone against it. And yes, he has become better than Jordan on the court. Has he, in scoring wise? Yes. Athletic ability? Yes.
Well,
The
that's
only thing he
also
doesn't
that's
surpass
all
is the cockiness. Is the only thing he can't surpass. That's it.
being undefeated in the NBA Finals.
Well, then, yeah, and there's that. The only problem with LeBron is that he's only great because, well, he's got money in his pocket from all the endorsements that he's gotten over the years. Because, well, he has athletic ability and he has a good sense of leadership when he's on that court. If the coach is doing a shit job that night and they're struggling, he'll fucking go and grab that clipboard and say, "Sit your ass the fuck down. I'll coach this fucking team." Kobe did the same thing, I think, for 2 seasons. He was just sick and tired of how the coach was making them look shitty, so he took a back seat. It's like Shaq said in that speech. He said at Kobe's farewell, I was like, "Hey, Kobe, there's no I in team." He was like, "Yeah, well, there's an M-E in that motherfucker." So Kobe had that charisma and he had the right attitude. LeBron is a totally different thing. That motherfucker just has money and athletic ability. Period. But he can never say he's been undefeated in the playoffs. He has 5 rings. Kobe had 5 rings, so you're not any much better than Kobe was.
And LeBron does not look like he's getting to another NBA final anytime soon.
Not just that, he lost his number.
I didn't see Michael Jordan ever lose his number. I didn't see Kobe changed his number, I think, right? Yeah, Kobe changed his number.
Kobe changed it from, I think it was 8, and then it was
24.
24. Then didn't change it after that. LeBron changed his to 6 because he knows one thing. That is the amount of world championships and finals that Michael Jordan has that he will never have. He won't get that 6th.
That's the only record he will never.
I don't think he can break it. Number one, he's getting up there in age. He's 35 years old, probably 37 by now. He's in his prime. Eventually, he's going to get an injury, and it's going to blow him the fuck out.
He's going to have a career-ending injury.
He's a team hopper on top of that. He went from Cleveland. Then he went to... did he go to Miami?
Cleveland, Miami, Cleveland, Lakers.
Yeah, Cleveland, Miami, Cleveland, then Lakers. He fucking cannot stay in one place. Jordan did all 6 in one team. 5 years in a row.
With not a lot of help. LeBron has always had help.
No, wait a minute. Jordan had help. Let's backtrack a little bit.
Well,
He had Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman. He had
Scottie
Scottie
Pippen.
Pippen. I think there was another guy.
Yeah, but LeBron has always had more people.
He's a ball hog. Him and Kobe were ball hogs, but the only difference between the two, when Kobe ball hogged, he could own it, and he could back it up. LeBron just does it because he thinks he has something to prove, because look what happened when he surpassed Jordan in scoring. He looked right at him and tossed the middle fingers and said, "Yeah, GOAT." And Jordan just rolled his eyes and just like whatever and took it as like, he's jiving me.
Yeah, let's have a prime Michael Jordan versus prime LeBron James and see who wins.
Jordan doesn't have any bad knees. He never had any significant injuries his entire career, ever. That man
Nope.
spent more time in the air than on the court. Okay. And back then they said black men couldn't fly. They weren't, back then that's when Reebok pumps were the shit. I can't remember who it was who basically endorsed that shoe, but he endorsed it where you pump and you fly or some shit like that. No, it was Rodman. Yeah, Dennis Rodman had that. But like, imagine that. All these athletes, they come. Michael Jordan came out of the University of what was it? North
North
Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah, UNC, the
So
Tar Heels.
if you think about it, football stars, they don't get as much training and as much attention in their development coming off of a college team. Whereas if you're coming from the NBA or the National Hockey League, that's what happens. They give them they give them the training and the development that they need to succeed and better I'll call it a craft, because that's exactly what it is.
Football, you're expected to know what you
Exactly. They
expected
have
to know.
high expectations of you, but the moment you get here, you drop your gym bag. All right, let's do this. Run this play. But aren't we going to work on? Nope. Run this play. Any other sport, I think they do it in soccer too. They expect you to know shit. No, soccer, they have a good development standpoint with that, just like any other sport.
Soccer, I think, might be one of the best sports with development wise, because they will, if they see like you're at a higher club, right? You're not doing too well, right? They will loan you to a smaller club so you can develop better and be better,
Exactly.
and then
Football doesn't do that
they'll
shit
put you back up.
because they don't want to take the time to get to know the player. That's what coaches don't do. They don't take time to get to know their players.
Exactly.
Look at NHL. Okay, look at the Chicago Blackhawks in 2010, 13, and 16.
Dude,
Coached
look at the
by Joel Quenneville, who took the time each and every season to get to know his players one-on-one, face-to-face. He would individually take them out to dinner, lunch, whatever, to get to know his players and understand their mindset of the sport and exactly what their strengths, their weaknesses are, and he worked on them during spring training and then postseason training. After that, dude, they won almost three consecutive Stanley Cups almost every other year. For the first time in 100 years, they won 3 cups. And the only reason why it fell off, for some stupid reason, the owners of the team thought it was a good idea to let Quenneville go, and they split the team off. They did that same thing. They did the same thing with the Cubs after the World Series. They fucked everybody. We don't have the funding. They won a Stanley Cup.
Oh, shit.
They won 3 cups. They won a World Series. I'm pretty sure when they win a championship, that does something to salary cap. It increases.
Sure, you get money.
It increases. You get more money to build your team. So I don't want to hear shit about it being a... There's no reason why we couldn't have kept Anthony Rizzo. There's no reason why we couldn't have kept Chris Bryant. There's no reason why we couldn't have kept Javi Baez or any of those guys who basically did what they needed to do to make sure that the Cubs were wiped off the underdog board. Same thing with the Blackhawks. There was no reason why we let all those guys go to other teams. We had the funding for it. But what it comes down to is the new coaching staff. That's what it is.
Do you see the Boston Bruins right now?
They used to suck shit, but now look how good they are.
They're the top in the league, and they are leading the NHL in a bunch of things. They're 35. They're 35. What are they exactly? I don't know how many they don't have more than 10 losses. I know that.
They're 35-5-4.
Yeah.
And they're on the Eastern Conference, right?
Yeah.
So, and right now they're nailing the shit out of fucking New York, so it doesn't even matter.
Dude, they beat the Flyers the other day 6-0.
They're beating the other team 2-0 right now.
Pasternak, Bergeron, they're unstoppable. Our goalie, the Bruins goalie, is literally the best in the league in save percentage.
Our team right now has got probably the worst record right now. We're 12-26.
Damn.
And we're
Yeah,
kind of
it's
beating Philadelphia
black.
twice, but we're we're beating
Something
Philly.
needs to happen.
We're 2-1
I think
against
something
Philly.
needs to happen with all Chicago teams. Something needs to happen. Something.
Well, the thing was, if Zach LaVine wouldn't have taken the beginning of the season off being hurt, we would have been all right. Because we got DeRozan to pick up the slack. So, I mean, that boy is going to be. I think they're setting him up to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Because he has played basketball in no way that I have seen in the last 15 years that I've been around and watching the NBA. I can probably say he's better than Derrick Rose.
My basketball team's doing pretty well right now.
Knicks,
Celtics.
Boston Celtics.
I everything Boston's me, except for college.
You can't really say they. Oh well, they don't have Rajon Rondo anymore.
Celtics have Tatum though.
Yeah, Tatum's the shit. He's a little guy, so he can move. Stick and move, stick and move.
How them Chicago Bears doing though?
Yeah, I've never been a Bears fan ever, and it's for
Never.
never, never. They suck. They're trash every season. There's not one year I can feel like they've. It ended for
Hey, they
me.
got the #1 draft pick.
It ended for me after Cody Parkey.
Ah,
How the fuck? The field goal is 30 yards. How the fuck do you miss that?
hey, just saying the Cowboys missed 4 extra points the other day.
I was downtown that night. They had to let him out a certain exit to make sure that the rest of the Chicago didn't fucking see his ass and swarm him. They wanted to
Damn.
kill him.
Damn.
Everybody wanted
So-
to kill him.
What's your football team?
See, for me, it would have to be. I got two favorites, so I would go with like the Bucks and Kansas City.
Nah.
New England, if Brady played for them. I'm kind of mad that he left in the first place, though. That was garbage.
Him and Belichick were getting along.
The coach?
Yeah.
I don't know how. He made that man millions of dollars and got him 6 rings, so.
Yep.
What
Would have been 7 if we didn't choke against the freaking New York Giants.
He didn't like how,
Yeah.
like, Brady would always cuss around and shit and be cussing, like, on the field and all that. And
The man's competitive. What do you expect from
he
him?
likes to win. Is that the idea?
That's the idea of every sport.
You like
Last
to
time
win.
I checked.
That's the idea. You want to win. Unless you don't want to win, you want him to keep his mouth shut the entire time.
I mean, Tom Brady and Michael Jordan are probably 2 of the best athletes in the last. How many years should I say? 100? 100's too far. 75 maybe? 50 years? Tom Brady never had surgery for any injury. Never did.
1 second.
All right.
I just sorry, my phone was ringing and it was like one of those guys trying to get me to donate to like firefighters or whatever it is, but I don't think he's really from that because I've donated once and they never sent me the shit they said they were gonna send me.
Ah.
So I was, it's like you can help us with new equipment. It's like I got a fire hose in my drawers. My name is Tremont. Can I assist you? It was funny as hell. He bought into it till I said I got $20 in my drawers, and then he hung up. Goofy as hell. But yeah, that's pretty much like the gaming industry in a nutshell, guys.
A little bit of sports.
And a little bit of sports there. Yeah. To kind of cap it off there. I didn't want to drag this out for too long. But we will be live tomorrow from the server, so pay attention to that stuff. Woohoo! It'll be
It's gonna be a great stream.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be 8 p.m. Central Time as always. Probably a bit sooner than that actually. Probably gonna just shoot for 7. If I'm feeling it, do a little bit early tomorrow.
Get your tissues ready. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Where
right.
am I?
Tissues, blankets, snacks, whatever it is you gotta bring there. Make sure y'all drop that like button if you have not already. Subscribe to the
Only
channel if
we
you're
know
new.
what will happen tomorrow.
Ring the. Oh my God, has this thing actually been on the entire time?
What?
I can't put my thing on the screen. That's kind of funny. But yeah, ring that notification bell for upcoming streams, guys. Share it out on your social media platforms. Be greatly appreciated. Also, check out the. Well, I'll add the links to the description later. Me and Shark will be doing some stuff from Criminal Paradise Roleplay as well. Once he gets his application looked at.
I got approved the other day.
Oh, you got approved?
Yeah.
You just tell me this now, motherfucker.
Yeah, I do tell you this now.
But yeah, just make sure you go down to the state troopers or go into the general chat and say you want to apply for state troopers, and then we'll talk to what's his face.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And then we'll get you in there. But we'll be going live from there from time to time. Ghost is on there as well, so we're kind of jumping back and forth between our community, and we're helping out my buddy Zach. So I'll get their information to put in the description for you guys to check out their stuff as well. With that said, guys, we hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and we're probably going to try to do a little bit more of these, but just different topics each time. But with that said, guys, enjoy the rest of your night, morning, afternoon, wherever you may preside, and we will see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.